Front Page for Wednesday, February 23rd, 2022. Thanks for joining us. I'm George Gerbo. Russia has started down a path toward war as Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered troops into Ukraine's disputed Donbas region and suggested he's prepared to go much further. Ben Wolfgang and Jeff Murdoch report the U.S. and its allies have responded with a variety of sanctions and movements. Financial sanctions announced by President Biden will target Putin, his inner circle of oligarchs, Russian banks, and other power players and influential companies in Moscow. European nations followed suit with their own round of sanctions, including a move by Germany to halt certification of the Nord Stream 2 natural gas pipeline between the two nations. Biden said the U.S. will reposition 800 troops, along with helicopters and fighter jets from elsewhere in Europe, to the Baltic states to shore up defenses along NATO's eastern border. Russia's military advance on Ukraine is the biggest foreign policy crisis his administration has faced thus far, and has cast a harsh spotlight on NATO's relevance as a pro-democracy European security alliance capable of halting further Russian aggression in the region. It's a test for the United States, Guy Taylor reports, after years of criticism of President Trump's public and confrontational manner in calling out major NATO partners for their unwillingness to meet defense spending targets and to share the military burden with Washington. Member spending has inched upward since 2019. Still, analysts say NATO has been too slow to beef up and modernize. Although NATO has expanded to include roughly a dozen additional Eastern European countries over the past 3 decades, regional experts say the size of the alliance's force structure has been shrinking since the end of the Cold War. Putin, by contrast, has steadily improved once decimated military forces, giving the Kremlin the power to project power beyond Russia's borders. Some sheriffs are asking for notifications from the Department of Homeland Security when illegal immigrants arrive in their areas from the agency. Stephen Dinan reports Immigration and Customs Enforcement is flying migrant adults and families to its detention facilities, and the Department of Health and Human Services flies unaccompanied juveniles to shelters or delivers them to sponsors. It's not clear what a notification system would look like, though several sheriffs pointed to existing sex offender registries as a model during the recent National Sheriff's Association meeting in Washington. Immigration advocates say such flights are nothing out of the ordinary, though the numbers may be particularly large given the magnitude of the problem at the southern U.S. border. A reminder that you can find all these stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page. You can also visit WashingtonTimes.com/George for a special subscription offer. Florida state legislature is engaged in an emotional debate over a measure that would ban schools from teaching young students about sexual orientation or gender identity. Susan Ferricchio reports the measure would prohibit schools from teaching about sexual orientation or sexual identity in kindergarten through 3rd grade. It would also require age-appropriate or developmentally appropriate standards for teaching it in later grades. Critics have dubbed the measure the Don't Say Gay bill, saying it would suppress classroom discussions about gender and sexual identity that would benefit LGBTQ students. Proponents say the measure enhances parental rights when it comes to the well-being of their children. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, a Republican, has voiced support for the proposal, although he hasn't committed to signing it into law. And finally, wedding bells will ring more and cost more in 2022, according to an industry report. The wedding report said this week the average cost of a wedding nationwide will be $24,300. That's up by $1,800 from last year. They also expect 2.5 million couples to marry, the fastest rate since 1984. That's up from 1.9 million in 2021 and 1.3 million in 2020. Sean Salai reports industry sources say that wedding venues for the spring are booking quickly, and the cost for flowers, photographers, and wedding planners are increasing. Find all of today's front page stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page or the Washington Times app, and find us on any major podcast platform. Just search Washington Times in your favorite podcast app. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at WashTimes for breaking news, sports, commentary, and more. For the Washington Times, I'm George Gerbo.